We could do the awkward stare at it because I know we're live right now, so we could just do the awkward.
Is
awkward.
it LinkedIn or?
Oh, it's LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. You can find us at most social media platforms. Let's check the live stream right now and see where we're at. How you doing today, by the way, buddy?
Heck yeah. Doing good. Oh, look at that.
And we are good. All right, here we go. Let's do this. Oh, Nick Gorey's texted. Good morning, Nick.
What's up, Nick?
He's probably, I don't know if he's watching or not. He probably might not be watching. We realize that we're doing a live breakfast stream right now. But good morning, Nick. All right, let's get this going. Good morning, everybody. We're hoping you can hear us a lot better now. And if you can hear us, why don't you chime in, say good morning, wherever you're tuning in from. Let's see what's going on. We got a couple people watching right now. Wherever you're tuning in, say hello and let us know where you're listening and watching this at. And we're hoping you're having a good morning. So I'm pumped about this. I'm hoping that the audio is a lot better. I think I had my mom watching it from Connecticut probably the past 3 or 4 episodes. And the problem is that she was like my sound mixologist. She's like, can't hear you. There's a dog barking in the background, and it was frustrating. You know,
Yeah.
I just got these microphones. It's like
That's what you get when you go live, though. That's the
the thing
learning
is,
curve, man.
the thing, you know what? Just like in life, always test your. Just like in that movie with Val Kilmer, who was in Africa hunting. You never go out on a safari with an untested rifle.
Yeah.
So. So I'm hoping y'all can hear us okay out there. I'm thinking we got everything fixed. In reality, it was just a cord. It was just a little YouTube, Google I had to do. It was just a cord. So let's
simple fix, man.
Simple
Those are the best.
Well, yeah. I'm not really a technology guy. Like when it comes to like all this like plugging in, like getting your speakers going, and all that stuff. So, but I'm glad we got this fixed. And hopefully, sounds great. Okay, let's say some good morning to some folks tuning in right now. We got Chanel saying good morning. Good morning. We got a cup of coffee, and we're gonna get into this. He's not a coffee guy; he's a tea guy.
Yep.
But he kind of does it in a little bougie way.
I see Jameson there from.
All right,
from
first
Denver.
off, Sean, this is my station.
Oh, I don't get to look at it.
This is my station. I'm the one that brings people in. Okay, you can't be introducing people before me. I'm the host here. All right, buddy.
Several years.
Casey Stout. Good morning, everyone from OES Testing Facility in Willis, Texas. I like that. Good morning, Casey. Thanks for tuning in. All right, James Parks says. Sounds great all the way out in Denver, Colorado. Boom. So you know James from
I do.
Colorado days?
Yeah, back in the day, Jameson has been, I don't know how, 6-7 years since I've spoken with him. We need to catch up, man.
So reach out to Sean. James wants to catch up. All right, we got loud and clear. Who else? So where else is everyone tuning in from this morning? This beautiful, sad day in Houston, kind of.
Yeah. Rough game last night.
Smoked last night.
Yeah, it was a beatdown.
God. You know what? So I'm kind of a conspiracy guy when it comes to like these whenever it's like whether it's like basketball or like baseball. I feel like every time it goes like 6 to 7 games.
Yeah. Yep.
Follow the money.
Yeah.
That's kind of where it's at.
I watched the game at Sawyer Park last night. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's a pretty new thing. It's
wait a minute, Sawyer Park, like off of Washington?
No, this is one up north here. Maybe it's a second one up here. It's right off of Rayford Sawdust. It used to be called something Ice House, and we had crawfish boils there, but they've tricked it out. They made it like a Deacon Baldy's like sports bar. They had a big screen TV. The place was packed last night.
Okay, a lot of energy.
Well, for the first inning.
Start off positive.
Yep.
Kind of what?
Yeah, and then it was pretty somber.
Any fights?
No fights.
Have you ever been in a bar fight?
Oh, no. Nope, I've seen several.
Well, yeah, I mean, watching them was unbelievable.
Yep.
But have you ever been in a fight before?
No, well, I've been hit before, but look at the size of me. I gotta.
You should see them if they hit you. You see how they look
exactly.
now.
I gotta be calm.
I've never been in a fight before, ever, and that's something I kind of want to continue. Like, what do you mean never been in a fight? I'm like, I'm 41 years old. What am I going to do? Like, if I go for a run,
that's for your 20s.
If I go for a jog, I'm sore the next day. If I go for a fight, I'm like hurting for the next quarter. I don't want to hear that. So, all right, let's see where else we got people tuning in from. We got Timothy Broussard. Good morning from Houston. Good morning. Thanks for tuning in. Brandon Webb. Good morning from IAH. Brandon, where are you going? Where you think he's going? Probably Midland, I'd imagine.
Williston?
Midland. No, Brandon Webb over here. Good morning
okay.
from he's traveling somewhere.
No, but maybe he's going to Williston.
He might be. And then Andrea Garber, Arjuan, Hey, y'all, and congratulations to Andrea. I think she just started a new position somewhere. So reach out to Andrea, say congratulations to her. Good luck on your the next chapter in your life, if you will. It's always a chapter of the next journey.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
I like throwing that in.
Yep.
James says definitely, brother. So you got to reach out. Is your brother watching this?
I don't know. I doubt it. I didn't tell him. Actually, no, he's hunting up in Colorado.
That's still
Elk
not
hunting.
an excuse. If you're hunting or
Yep.
you're at the airport, you should be tuning into this.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
All right, JB Self. JB, good morning, gents. JB, I apologize. I actually had a tennis match scheduled with JB this morning. However, this kind of took that. But speaking,
I think I met JB at
the
happy hour
at the crew club happy hour.
Happy hour.
That's right.
Was that last week or 2 weeks ago? Maybe
That was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks
So the
ago.
first crew club event was 2 Thursdays ago.
Yes.
Great turnout.
That's the one. Yep.
And then we had our first crew club dinner last Thursday.
Yep.
Is that the same jacket?
It is. My wife cleaned it
Okay,
up.
well, good deal.
A little bit of wine.
There was a little ghost wine spiller walking around Petroleum Club the other night.
My wife could do wonders.
I'm glad we found it. So, JB, owe you a tennis match. But actually, speaking of tennis, a little Wednesday morning humor. You know why I should never marry a tennis player?
Ooh, I do not know.
To them, love means nothing. All right, Brandon's going to Oklahoma. I dig that. Thank you. You're welcome. John Refno, good morning at the house today. Beautiful morning. Be sipping a cup of coffee at the house.
Yeah.
And thinking about next season with the Astros.
And the weather's coming in today.
What do you mean?
Cold front coming in today. It's going to be raining here, I don't know, noonish or.
So that means it's not only blazer season, it's also sweater weather.
Yeah.
And I love sweater
Well,
weather.
I like vest weather. Like, I'm a vest
You're
guy.
a vest guy?
I love
I've
it.
never gotten into vests.
I love them.
Never have. So, all right, where else did everyone tune in from? Kind of let's get this kicked off. Anyone else want to say a good morning? All right. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll be fielding questions towards the end. So thank you all for tuning in right now and reach out to me. Actually, speaking of connections, even the people commenting right now, if you've seen their name on LinkedIn and you're not connected yet, and you've repeatedly seen their name, want to engage them, reach out to them, connect with them. Connect with Brandon, connect with Andrea, JB, connect with all these cats. Some good people out there. And John Refro, good people out there. So before we begin, we obviously have to discuss the sponsor of Breakfast Runs with JP. It's been Royal Completion Tools for the past couple months. A great group over there, great people. I've known Ethan, the CEO over there, for years, and he's just one of the best guys out there. Reach out to them and say hello, and we got to play this. And if there's any other inquiries about sponsoring Breakfast Runs, reach out to me, shoot me a DM, and we can go from there. John Simmons, top of the morning, and the rest of the day to yourself. So that's an Irish greeting, top of the morning to you.
Yep.
And the last part of that is the rest of the day to yourself. I actually had.
I never hear that part.
Well, now you do.
Nice.
Now you do. Morning from Midland. It's a LinkedIn user. I wish I knew who it was, but good morning. Thanks for tuning in. Roy Strawn also, congratulations to him. I think he just started a new position, Altitude Energy Park.
I saw that.
So
Yes.
congratulations to you, Roy.
Congrats.
Next chapter.
Yep.
In your career, man. Looking forward to you crushing it over there, man. Old Roy. All right, so let's get this kicked off with saying thank you to the sponsor, Royal Completion Tools, and kind of a little commercial and showing you what it's all about. For those tuning in, this is a commercial that me and my daughter filmed. She was the camera person, camera woman, camera girl, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, she did a great job. So here we go. In 3, 2.
To all you completion engineers, company men, and consultants out there, are you sick and tired of losing sleep over frac plugs not getting to depth, not holding pressure, or not drilling out properly? Or maybe you aren't getting the best quality and service from the bigs. Well, stop burning the midnight oil and rest at ease while using Royal Frac Plugs, the most reliable and efficient frac plug on the market. Start your successful completions today by getting in touch with Royal Completion Tools. You can contact them via www.royalcompletiontools.com, sales@royalcts.com, or via LinkedIn. Contact them today to check out some of the best frac plugs out there.
All right, so just want to let you know that that thumb, again, I know we talked about it, that was CGI. He wasn't actually missing a thumb. Safety was top priority in the filming of that commercial. And let's see. Good morning, John. Thank you, fine, sir. John Refro, thanks for the after shout out. JP won't be licking the wounds for a while. I think a lot of people will, but that's all right. So, real quick, Sean, why don't you kind of give a little like a three elevator pitch? Let's say you're going to the 21st level. How about that? So we're going to give a 21 floor elevator pitch, kind of on your background, and kind of where you were, where you've been, and kind of where you're at today. So
well, unfortunately, I've got to say Silverado, where I was the last 2.5 years, is closing their doors, right? So I'm actually looking for my next opportunity. But and prior to that, I was with Newfield, and you can listen to the podcast from JD's archives to hear about my first.
Well, it's not really archives. Yeah, if y'all want to know more about Sean, we had probably about an hour and a half long conversation.
A couple
weeks
ago.
A couple months ago.
Yeah, I think it was at least 2 months ago.
Man, time flies. So check that out, the Energy Crew podcast.
Yep. But so last week was Silverado's last weekend of the month, or I guess it was Sunday. So, but man, we had a good team there. We had a good run.
So what were you doing over at Silverado?
I was drilling and completions manager, director of whatever you want to call it. So there was 2 ops guys there, and we were doing evaluations, looking for a deal in the lower 48.
So for 2.5 years, you're evaluating deals.
Yeah. And turned out, like we just went through the stats. I think we evaluated 166 deals over the span of 30 months that we were together.
166 deals?
166 deals. So that covered all the major basins. I think we counted 14 major oil and gas basins in the lower 48. So the good thing is, man, I got exposure to all that good stuff. I learned a ton of information on the operations side and financial side and reservoir side along the way, so got a good exposure across all of the U.S. But man, unfortunately I missed the day-to-day grind of the operations, right?
Really?
So I'm a drilling guy that wasn't drilling wells, right? I have an AFE for every single basin in the U.S., but I missed the day-to-day, believe it or not, midnight phone calls and putting the little fires out here and there.
I remember when you first went over to Silverado, and you were very excited about the aspect that you're like, okay, well look, I've been drilling for X number of years, and doing this for X number of years. I finally get to look at deals and kind of see the process behind that.
Yeah.
And you do that for 2.5 years. And everyone I've talked to about deal making, whether it's Drew Limbach or whether it's Mike Tesseri, whether it's you, it is such a grind.
It's a grind.
You were doing tedious work day in and day out. For the potential.
To
win something. So it's like it's a constant, I guess.
And I think there's a large amount of luck that needs to fall into it, right? And you got to have things fall on your side, and it's no easy task. And not to mention, so we were together for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Well, 1.5 years of that was the craziest time. Not only in the oil and gas industry, but in our lives, right? With the pandemic and all that stuff, right? So pretty rough, and trying to stay ahead and figure out what's next in our industry is a big part of the game on when you're doing the acquisition, game, right? So, and we had a great team to do that, and we just kind of ran out of time,
I remember, you and I had a conversation, kind of off the record conversation. Like you loved what you were doing. It was exciting, kind of like learn about this and figure out the financial side of that.
Correct. Right.
But you really wanted to build a team.
Yeah. I was excited to be on the ground floor there and build your own team and get an asset and start your own program off. Right? Yeah. So fortunately, that's not going to happen. But I'm looking ahead, like you said a couple times here, to some of the guests here, the next chapter. I'm looking forward to the next chapter. I always look at my life as like, hey, every little change is a different chapter, right? And someday, you can look back on all those different chapters and see what happened, right?
So how was that? I guess how was that for you? I guess hearing that, look, you've been, putting in a lot of the whole team has been putting a lot of time and effort in, a lot of energy, a lot of obviously 166 deals.
Right.
That's very impressive. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's 166 times of you trying to figure out the sweet spot of every little piece of information that comes across your desk.
Correct. Yep.
So whenever you heard, I guess, the news that Silverado was kind of, getting wrapped up or closing the doors, whatever you want to call that.
Right.
Whatever oil field polite term you want to call that, synergies and whatever. Well, how do you feel about that? I mean, was it? Did you see that? I mean, did you see something maybe coming? Was there something? I mean, Yeah. How was
Yeah.
was it shock to you?
No, you can kind of see the writing on the wall, right? Yeah, I felt it coming, and in some cases, I was a little bit relieved because it gives me an opportunity to go look for the next chapter. Right,
Right.
I'm itching to go out and get into operations again, and I told myself I'm not going to leave Silverado unless the doors are closed, right? Because I'm going to give this thing the 100% try, right?
Right.
And I did, right? The worst thing that could happen was me leave early and then things work out, right? And then
Pull
I'm
a
like,
McDougal. Pull a
yeah.
Luke McDougal, if you will.
Yep.
He's the king of bad timing.
Right. So, and I'm still young in my career, right? So I knew going to a private equity is a risk,
Yeah.
right? And most of them don't work out.
Well, shoot, man. I mean, I think right now, if anyone's watching that's been in the oil field for the past
Right.
10 years, knows that it doesn't matter if you're
Right.
at a private equity backed
Yep.
company, a family and friends backed company,
Yep.
super major.
Yep.
It's still very risky.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't. I don't think it matters where you are on that spectrum.
Correct. Yeah. Right.
So before Silverado, kind of, if people are looking out there that kind of are, might know of obviously you have some irons in the fire that you and I discussed. Right. We're not going to go into names or details or anything like that because obviously we don't want to mess that up on breakfast runs, the career killer.
Right.
So before Silverado, kind of give us that, and you have about 30 for us for that.
Right. So I mean, prior military, got out of the military, went
Air
to
Force.
Yep, Air Force. Went to Colorado School of Mines. Did a couple internships with Newfield, and man, I was with Newfield for 12 years, and basically in every office Newfield had, right, all the way from I went from Utah to Denver to China, believe it or not, China for a year, and then back to Denver, then Denver to Oklahoma to here, home. Big old Texas.
Okay, so your time there, you spent drilling,
mostly drilling. Like at 90% drilling, a little bit of completions, a little bit of facilities work. But I look at myself as a drilling guy, and I really actually expanded my completion knowledge at Silverado because I was the DNC guy there, right? So didn't do operations, but I got into all like what's the new trends in the industry and who's doing what in this basin.
Well, how did you learn about that? Was that talking to, I guess, the other operators? Was that talking to your service business providers network, your oilfield service network?
Yeah.
I mean, how did you learn about it?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of up your alley. I was building my net. I have a great network on the drilling side, but it wasn't great on the completion side, right? And so I helped, or I tried to build that network and go to lunches, go to meetings with guys and try to figure out like what's going on the completion side. Not only that, but you pick up a lot on investor relations on these public companies and get a lot of information on what they're doing, what's the key terms, is it simul-frac, is it wet sand, what's the next best thing, how much is it costing, right? Or how much are fracs, not necessarily fracs, but
whatever.
How much does it cost to drill and complete a well in a given basin, right? I was taking that in, and that was going into our evaluations when we're submitting bids for these properties at Silverado. So I kept a database on what those costs were doing, going up, going down, inflation,
tariffs.
Yeah, tariffs. I mean,
China.
Steel is up.
Oh, dude, steel's great. I mean, there's
supply chain issues that everybody's dealing with right now. So, yeah, it was awesome.
So how's it? I mean, I guess you got a couple irons in the fire that we're not going to discuss right now. So, how is, I guess, obviously it's really not known. I'm not saying it's not known, but it's been more industry gossip about Silverado kind of closing doors on stuff. Yeah. So from there, I mean, I guess how have you kind of sourced, I guess, finding these irons in the fire, and kind of what's your next what's your path in the short term?
You're a big part of it, right? What you're doing right here, and I've got to thank you. This is 3 or 4 events that I've sat next to you with, and so networking is huge. It's a huge part of our business, right? So as you know, I think this world is a lot about, probably more so about who you know than what you know, right? You gotta know something. You gotta be in our industry, but knowing the right people is a tremendous
I
help.
literally hate that saying. It's not what you know, but it's who you know. But it's so true.
It's very true. Yeah, very true.
And that's the thing. Like, I'm not plugging Connection Crew or Crew Club or anything like that. But I mean, the goal is
you need to be plugging it.
Well, the goal of it. I'm expanding it too. We're planning on expanding, but the goal of it, honestly, is like just kind of like people, whether you feel like you're whether operators, whether you feel like you're comfortable in your job, whether you feel like I've got a trajectory upwards. I got my bubble. I don't need a network, or you think private equity back and you don't need it. It truly is an operator-focused networking event. So no sales pitches, no demos, no shop walks, no shop. Truly to build relationships.
Right. And those relationships are awesome, right? Because you not only work together, but we go do fun things together too, right? We go to dinner, we golf, there's bowling.
And then let's think about this. The first Crew Club dinner we had, you ran into Andrew Abbott, who used to intern for him.
I know, yeah. It's such a small world, man. And then Kyle Gwynn too.
Yeah.
I've gone to Christmases with him and his family the last 4 years. Yeah.
So he was supposed to be coming to the next one, but schedule's changed. He'll be showing up to go on Crew.
Yeah, you need to have him on the podcast too, right? His dad was my first boss at Newfield in Roosevelt, Utah.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. And we're great friends. They're basically family of ours.
What's funny about Kyle? Kyle actually used to work with, I don't know, we call it a cousin-in-law. My wife's cousin.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, that's kind of completes the circle. How small it is.
Yep. It's nuts, man.
So it's getting out there, it's networking, it's talking to people, and actually something out there to operators kind of in a similar situation. And I think I've talked about this before in a couple of I don't know. I always talk. I got the same line of BS. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna spiel the same line of BS right now. I remember I was talking to a gentleman in Dallas Fort Worth area, and he was an operator.
Yep.
He just moved there, and he was trying to network with different operators, trying to find the next role. And I'm hearing this, I'm listening. I'm like, okay, well, what service companies have you networked with? And he's like, I don't want to go in the service.
Right.
And I was like, the service industries, they got their finger on the pulse right now. It'd probably be a good idea because they're going to know what company's looking for an engineer. They're going to know what company's picking up a rig.
Yep.
They know more before the operator does. You know what I mean? So make your connections, not just where you want to go, but kind of all around you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that's super important, man. Network is key.
So once you found this out, did you get on the horn and start making calls?
Absolutely, yeah. Just getting my resume out and the word out to my network and seeing what's out there, right? And I only found out about this maybe 2.5, 3 weeks ago, so it's still pretty fresh.
I found out about it 4 weeks ago. I shouldn't have told you.
Appreciate the heads up.
Hey, what are you gonna do? It's confidential.
Look at this guy.
So real quick, so you got on the horn, started calling some folks and all stuff. Right now you've had several interviews. You have a couple irons in the fire.
Correct.
But you're still kind of on the market.
I'm on the market for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so you're not just going steady.
No. Yeah, I'm kind of gonna take my time and enjoy the rest of the year and working on my house. Well, the wife's got the to-do list already lined up.
The honey to-do list. So okay, when you're looking for a new role, you're looking for a new family to fit into and all stuff. What are some top priorities that you go in and kind of that are important to you that you look for?
Yeah, I mean, activity level is a big one now, right? Because I'm just coming off of Silverado where we were evaluating, right? And I'm looking more of I want to go do something, right? That's my number one priority. I want to go into a shop that has got an activity, and I can go straight out to the rig on day one. Okay? That's my number one priority, right? Also, we want to stay in Houston. Right. We learned to love it. We just moved to Conroe up there in a couple acres.
You got the chick lounge.
We got the chickens on the chick lounge.
Chicken lounge, which is pretty much a patio that him and his wife built. And there's a little person they sit and have wine and watch the chickens. How many chickens?
Oh, we have 12 chickens.
12 chickens.
4 of them started laying. Right.
Really?
So I was going to bring you some eggs, but we don't have enough yet.
This guy always does farm to table products. So on the podcast, most people bring me bourbon or scotch or something like that. This guy brings me pickled green tomatoes.
Boom.
I thought it was funny, but I got home. Monica's like, "Tell me to get you some more." I'm like, "All right, can you chill? Because I want some too."
Yeah. I need to make a batch. I'm out.
So pretty much, so activity is important to you.
Activity is important. Location's important.
Talk to me about the culture.
Yeah. Culture is important too, right? So I came from Newfield. I was in Newfield for 12 years, right? That was a a great small company, and it grew tremendously, obviously, as you can think or imagine, over 12 years. But it still kept a good, unique culture, and I miss that culture, right? And so when I left Newfield, when Encana bought, or we merged with Newfield, or whatever you want to call that, and synergies were created, and that gave us the opportunity. And actually, the former CFO of Newfield started Silverado.
Okay.
And I kind of got invited to go
through your networks.
Yep. And so that's why I left Newfield. And obviously, Newfield doesn't exist anymore. But yeah, I'm looking for a smaller company, more of a family feel, somewhere where you can be very impactful.
I like that.
Yeah, and kind of run the organization, and I was doing that with Newfield, and I was doing that with Silverado, and I'm looking to do that smaller type company going forward here.
How is the market right now, I guess, out there? Obviously, with commodity prices hanging around $83, you got gas where it's at, you got the shortage of this, got the shortage of that. I mean, how is the market right now?
It's significantly better, right? Significantly better than the last year, and I'd say 2 years. Even before COVID, things were grim in our industry, right? Rig count was dropping, and then rig count went rock bottom as soon as COVID hit. You got the negative barrel of oil.
Thanks, Obama.
Right? Yep. And so, but significantly better. There's opportunities out there. I mean, things are picking up. You don't see the historic rig count chasing price right now.
I had this conversation with someone yesterday, Tad, over in San Antonio or wherever he's at. Historically, when prices are where they're at right now, there's a trend. There's a common trend.
Yep.
You're not seeing that. I'm not even doing this right, but you know what I'm talking about.
No, I hear you. And I think I have a decent explanation for why. And we thought about it at Silverado a lot.
So here's so this is what we're about to get into right now. This is what I want to hear right now. So pretty much, obviously, historically, when oil prices go up or commodity prices go up, you see rig count kind of trail that or mirror that, right?
Yeah.
We're about to learn why that's not going on in the market today from Sean Stevens. Go. Hot seat. Go.
And it's because of Wall Street, right? And it's because of the Wall Street is demanding from these independent, publicly traded oil and gas companies. They're demanding profits to shareholders. When historically, the profits oil and gas companies would make, right? They would turn those back around and drill more wells, add more rigs, increase production. Like my first 10 years in the industry, or more than 10 years, was increase production.
Grow through production.
Grow through production. Right. We're not sending very little profit to the shareholder. Well, now they are treating oil and gas companies just like every other company, the Googles and the major other industries. They're treating oil and gas companies like that, and they're saying, okay, well, you need to share those profits with shareholders, right? So you said you're going to drill with this much budget. I don't care if oil price is 50 or 80. They need to stay within that budget. Right. And if it goes to 80, all the profit they make, they need to buy back shares. They need to increase dividends.
So run it like an actual business.
They got to run it like an actual business. And we believe, or that's what we thought Silverado, that's what I believe is that's why you're not seeing the rig count chase the oil price. Now, private companies may have a little bit more flexibility there. And
if casing's available for them right now.
Yeah, that's a whole different deal.
That's a scary deal.
That's a very scary deal. Yeah, casing, and I think there's some programs that are going to get cut short because they can't get steel, right? So, and the steel companies aren't wanting to increase production.
No, because what oil and gas industry is like what? Maybe 3%.
2 or 3%. Yeah.
We're not a big mover when they come up with decisions on how much to produce.
Now, when I say all that Wall Street business there, I'm hoping that stabilizes our price, right? And so we historically have kind of cut our own throats. We would watch the price go up. We would increase rig count. We would increase production, increase supply. And then we would watch the price go back down, and that's the cyclical nature that we've all been fighting.
It seems like that cyclical nature has been kind of pushed in like an accordion,
right?
It's like instead of this happening every 6 years, it's happening pretty much every 8 months.
Right. Yeah.
So it's been tough to have a good time in the oil field.
Exactly. But I think it's getting better.
Well, no. So
and hopefully it holds here. Right?
So that's the thing. I kind of like that outlook that you have. It's like, look, my goal 2.5 years ago didn't come to fruition. You know what I mean? But I learned a lot from it.
Yep.
And if the doors were to close, which they are,
Right.
man, it couldn't be a better time right now in the past year and a half.
Right.
You know what I mean? So.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a tough time. It's unfortunate. It's a change in chapters or plans or whatever like that. But you're right, man. It's just like that's how you got to look at it. It's not the worst time.
Yeah, right. And like I think back when I was at Newfield, my head was down so close to the rig or to my computer screen that I wouldn't have been able to have that thought about Wall Street and the business acumen and all that business because I was just worried about my rig drilling. Making hole basically, right? And so now this 2.5 years gave me the opportunity to understand the market and see the the financial deals that we were working with over there at Silverado, and so I'm very thankful for that opportunity. But like I said, I was a drilling guy that hasn't drilled a well in 2 years, so I'm itching to get back into that.
So I guess out there to, learning the financial side of the things and, that side, obviously, I think to me that's extremely important just because you have another tool in your toolbox.
Right.
You can speak to certain things like that. I mean, how would people out there, let's say they are got their blinders on in the computer, making hole or doing something like that. What do you advise them to do, to strengthen their knowledge or whatever?
Yeah, I'd say try to, and I do somewhat regret when I was at Newfield where I was just so totally focused on this one thing. I'd say take a little bit of time, 30 minutes a day to back up and look at what else is going on in the industry or in your basin, right? And so I became basically a super user of Inveris, which used to be called Drilling Info, right? So public data out there is very plentiful. I did not deal with any of that when I was at Newfield, even though I had other competitors drilling around me. You can learn a lot about what's going on around you. And I was trying to do that through my vendor network, and that helps. But also, there's public information out there that, these guys are required to report, and you can go out there and they have slides every quarter. And I learned a tremendous amount of information on what's going on. Now, I learned that at Silverado. And obviously, they've been doing that for years, but I never even knew about that.
The tools are there.
The tools were
everything was there, but just
I had my blinders on, right? And so I guess a piece of advice looking back for me 10 years ago, I would have said, hey, open those blinders up, get out on the interweb, right, and see what your neighbors are doing, right? Work with your network and understand what people are doing. And I was always like Silverado, like if we picked up a rig and got an asset, I was going to call ourselves fast followers, right? So small company, you don't want to be out there trying you don't want to be the guinea pig trying the newest, greatest, best technology out there, right? But you want to look over and watch the Exxons and the BPs and the bigger companies. You want to watch over the fence and see how they're doing, right? And be a fast follower and be like, okay, that looks like it's working, right? Maybe we need to adopt some sort of standard operating procedure like that, right? So,
dude, I'll tell you one thing. Like, that's kind of like the beauty and the magic of. Obviously, I'm gonna do a plug, but that's the beauty and magic of like Connection Crew and Crew Club. Like, whenever you get like a group of operators in the same room, whether they knew each other before, they didn't know each other before, there's always that 1 degree of separation. And once they start talking, and I honestly think we're kind of, obviously, historically our industry's been very tight-hole about everything.
Right.
Look,
right.
I understand we've been operating in silos.
Yep.
I think that best practices need to be shared. That
right.
Efficiencies need to be shared. I'm not saying give them the playbook, but
right.
at the same time, inform each other what works. So when you're kind of in this room with all these operators, and they just start talking, hitting it off, and they start who you using over here? Like, man, I've tried this procedure, and I've noticed that it only works. You start seeing the best practices get shared, and you start seeing these relationships get built. I think that part is such a cool, magical part, if you will, of Crew Club and Connection Crew.
And on top of that, I feel like all the good quality rock in the U.S. is spoken for, right?
Right.
And so that's why I think people were tight-hole and hesitant on sharing best practices, because they were like, oh, okay, well, we need to see if it works here because maybe we can lease that in over there.
Yeah.
Well, now it seems like everything's kind of leased up, and now people are a little more open on like, okay, well, let's get this consortium together for Haynesville or pick your basin, right? And be like, hey, let's get together and share information, because maybe I'm doing something that can help you, and hopefully you're doing something that can help me, right? And I know there's those those relationships out there. I've heard of one with Goodrich Petroleum, I think, or something like that. I listened to one of their podcasts or a podcast. I think DRW did it.
Okay.
Right. And I can't remember the guy's name, but he was talking about this consortium, and there's like, I don't know, 10 companies that get together once or twice a year, and they talk about, hey, what's going right and what's not going right. Right. So I think that's getting better for our industry.
Which I think it needs. I think communication needs to be opened up a little bit. I think getting out there, get out of your bubbles need to be opened up with, because you just never know.
Right. Absolutely.
You never know. So where else are you right now? So you're obviously you're on the market.
Yep. On the market. I'm a free
scene.
Agent.
You're a free agent.
Yeah.
Kind of wish they had like a little like a Bumble for a job opening.
Well, right there, you got it. Top hand.
Top hand. So if you see the little ticker right there, it's Sean Stevens' top hand, because that's the best way to describe it, in my opinion. So I guess kind of you got this going on. You're on the market. You're swiping right. You're swiping left.
Yep.
At these offers, if you will. And so what else? How else are you filling your time right now?
So the honey-do list is the big one. We're redoing our kitchen.
All right.
So I was painting all day yesterday. I actually still have some paint on me. Couldn't get off.
Top hand.
Yep. The wife also has the Fredericksburg business deal.
So
going.
you have a couple homes in Fredericksburg. I mean,
Yes.
I think that conversation came up because my wife and I went to Fredericksburg several times.
Yep.
And that came up through casual conversation.
Right.
And you actually have a couple of homes over there.
Yep. Yeah. So we have 3 properties over there. Sweet-escapes.com.
Sweet dash. It's not SWEET. It's sweet.
SUITE.
Like you go to a game and you're in a suite, you tag or something like that. That type of stuff. Sweet Escapes.
Sweetescapes.com, right? And so we have 3 properties out there, various sizes, 1 bed, 1 bath, 2 bed, 2 bath, 3 bed, bath. And so one of the properties has like almost 2 acres of land, and they're all in downtown Fredericksburg. They're all walking distance, less than 1 mile from the heart of downtown. So, it's such a great place, right? And so we have plans to develop, like add youth out there, right? And now the city of Fredericksburg is making it a little more difficult, right?
Shocker.
Yeah, believe it or not,
It's government.
Yeah, government, and they're making it hard to get permits. So I'm kind of working through that, and so we have big plans for out there.
So there's a couple other things kind of filling your plate. Your time
Absolutely. Yeah. I've got things to keep me busy for sure. We're going out there and for Thanksgiving we're kind of redoing one of those kitchens out there. I kind of like doing. I'm a DIYer, if you will.
I am not. I am not a DIYer. I mean, look at this. I couldn't fix the sound for 3 weeks. I'm like, well, let's just try it again.
It does occasionally get you in trouble. Sometimes I get over my head. I think I can do it, and then.
And you got to call the big boys.
Yeah, I got to call the big boys. I'm like, okay, well, I messed this up. Can you help me out?
From the Arm Barn.
Yep.
Did you hear about that?
No.
I guess Pete is upset for calling it the bullpen. Maybe this might be false. I guess Pete is upset for calling it the bullpen.
Really?
Because it's offensive to so they call it the Arm Barn. I think that maybe a Twitter lie. I don't know.
Nice.
But so that's kind of good. You have other stuff outside the industry that's diversified a little bit.
Correct.
And,
Yep.
What was the reason behind diversifying, or was it something that you felt in the area?
The wife. It was my wife's idea, and she's kind of running it, and I was on board, right? And so she's when I see her motivated, heading towards something, she's all in, and when she's all in and keeping her busy, I'm all right. So
less honeydews around the home.
Less honeydews around the home front, exactly. So, and we have 1 property still up in Colorado, and that's what gave her the idea, and that's at Copper Mountain. And we bought that for us back in the day, but then I had to move her. So we have rented out to our nephew or whatever. And she's like, man, we should get a couple more rental properties. And then she did a girls trip out in Fredericksburg. She's like, this place is awesome.
Yeah,
right? And I hadn't been out there. Actually, I moved through there my Air Force career, like way long ago when I was stationed in San Angelo, Texas. And it was still awesome back then. And then I went out there with her looking at houses, and I started quizzing people like bartenders and waitresses and stuff, and locals. I'm like, when's your downtime? Like, when's your off season? And they're like, well, we really don't have an off season anymore. I'm like, let's buy.
Yeah.
And then we bought 3 houses in 6 months.
That's pretty impressive. So you're kind of right now. You haven't drilled in 2.5 years. You know what I mean? At the same time, I feel like it's riding a bike. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But it might be a little bit easier too with some of the technology that's out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I keep in touch with guys like yourself and all my vendor contacts, right? I go lunch with those guys all the time, and I'm always quizzing them. Hey, what's new? What's going on? You have hot hole tools over here. You got, different types of casings and connections over there.
What
right?
piece of technology that you've seen, or software, or whatever? I think that all falls into what new thing that you've seen that you've been like, that's cool. I want to start working with this.
Yeah, it's actually on the completion side, right? Simul-fracking.
Okay.
Right, simul-fracking has just cut completion costs tremendously. It's basically like fracking 2 wells at the same time.
Okay.
Right, and so you're basically pumping down 2 holes at the same time, and you almost have 2 full crews out there at the same time too. And I think in Canada, I've been watching Oventive.
Oventive.
I've been watching those guys, and they tout it, and they were kind of the first ones that I've seen to publicly talk about it. And I quiz Tyler Schultz on it. But yeah, I think that's been a game changer, really.
So is that something you're excited to kind of
I want to go check it out.
Start seeing a little bit?
Yep, for sure. Yep.
Oventive's got some. There's certain companies out there that everyone you meet solid.
Yeah.
Every person meets solid.
Yep.
Oventive's definitely one of those companies. It's like
it's
like a new age Anadarko.
Exactly. Well, I call Schultz and those guys Newfield, inherited by Oventive, right? And so, Newfield was a fantastic company. I would have worked for them for the rest of my career. It was an awesome time.
Everyone from the leadership down. You had Jim Metcalf over there. Yep. You had Kate Hike and Cooley, Mark Beach, Tyler Schultz. Even the people now, are just solid cats.
Yeah. And basically, most of those guys are still there, right? And so they're Oventive now, but I don't know what the percentage is, 80, 90% of that office right down the street, because we're in Blue Door right now, right down the street is all former legacy Newfield people. Good people.
And then you McDougal leave. Look what happened. Look what happened.
McDougal left on the day of the Encana merger announcement. That was his last day.
Even though I think about that story constantly, and it's still funny to me. Mm-hmm. It's still funny because I just love that guy.
Yeah,
I really do. So, all right. So real quick, let's kind of get in the personal side of things. I do. My wife does this with Evelyn.
Yeah.
Or a 98-month-old.
Yep.
All right. Obviously, with Silverado, shut the doors. You're in this new chapter, find your next role, and obviously, you always want to know what's coming. Because change and uncertainty is very scary at times, even though change is a natural part of life.
Right.
The more you fight it, the more it happens. Also, so my wife does this with Evelyn and all stuff, and I thought this would be a good way to kick it off. What are the top 3 things you're grateful for this week?
This week. Well, first of all, my family.
Okay.
Right? Healthy, good, happy family. That's number one. Having a great network.
Yep.
And having a relationship with you and your network and all the people out there that are helping me out, right? So, that's the crew that's going to help me find my next opportunity, right?
Right.
Yep. And I guess my health, right?
Yeah.
So healthy, I'm out there. I'm not in Ironman shape. I did an Ironman back in the day, but I'm not.
Do you have the tattoo on your?
No. I wouldn't get that's a corporate stamp in my book. So, I don't want the corporate stamp on me. But I did the Texas Ironman here back in the day.
Do you think your wife's giving you all these honeydews at the house to get you out of the house and start working again?
Oh yeah, she tells me often. She's like, "When are you going to get a job so you can get out of here?"
You're like, once you stop giving me honeydew, so I can start looking.
Yep,
honey.
exactly. Yep.
So what else is kind of going on out there? So we talked about kind of what you're grateful for. We got a couple events. We got some event coming up tonight with a crew club.
Yep.
I think this will be good networking there.
Absolutely. 5F.
Oh my gosh.
5F.
All right, so F5 is coming back. For those of you that don't know what AADE F5 is, it's what Fin Fur Feather Food Festival, something like that. It's held in Humble.
Yep. At
every
the
year.
Convention Center.
At the Convention Center, and I cannot wait for that. Is one of the best times in the Houston oil field, in my opinion.
Yep, it's fun, man. It will be shoulder to shoulder.
It'll be shoulder. It's usually, a couple of years it's really like freezing cold on stuff, but that makes those styrofoam cups that much more tilty.
Yep, I think there's several people come down from Denver
Well,
Dave Detweiler, I think, might be coming
Keith
down.
Stelter from Odessa's coming in.
Nice.
Well,
Yeah.
I think we're going to get a big group of people, which I'm excited
That's
about.
going to be fun.
And then also there's AADE Casino Night,
Which
is sold out.
Really?
Already.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't get tickets.
Where are they doing it? Downtown?
Downtown.
Yeah.
Downtown.
Yep.
So Fin for Feather, and then follow up with a casino night, are two of my favorite times in the oil and gas year. And this year there's actually if there's AAD Casino Night sold out. So I'm hoping they release some more tickets or something like that. And I promise I'll get on the horn versus procrastinate. It's kind of my move. I procrastinate a lot. And then there's also the Oil and Gatsby, the Social Octane ODJ and Oil and Gatsby party that's coming up. That's gonna be a good time. There's just I love the holidays in the oil field. There's always something happening. There's always this atmosphere of camaraderie and people getting together.
It's a fun time, man.
No, I dig that. So I guess what we could do, you have anything else? You have any messages or books you're reading that you like to have? I know Advanced Engineering 204.
No.
Reading them textbooks. I'm reading Advanced Calculus.
I'd like to say that, but no, that's me.
So let's see if anyone's got. So if anyone's any questions or wants to chime in about anything, kind of even in the industry, kind of whether it's from deal making to sourcing your next role, or whether it's to share a memory you've had with Sean. Because one thing that kind of Sean wants to talk about, and subtly, this is the best part about Sean. All right, he'll do stuff such as order tea and be like, "Oh, I love coffee. I'm a tea guy now." So talk about this whole tea thing that you got going on.
Well,
Why are you a tea guy?
I'm not a coffee guy, which is crazy because I was in the military working crazy hours, and everybody's like, "How are you not a coffee guy?" I'm like, I don't know, just never got into it. But working at Newfield, and very few people know this, Newfield actually had international offshore operations in China, and Joe Johnson, one of my former bosses, retired now, walked into my office when I was sitting in Denver one time and said, and I expressed I wanted to go overseas. I was stationed overseas in Germany back in the day, so I wanted to go overseas.
For the military.
Yeah, it's a great adventure. And so he walked in my office out of the blue and said, "Hey, Sean, can you go to China next week?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in. Let me call my wife first. Hang on, wait." And so, literally, they rushed a visa through. They had a drilling engineer, a Chinese drilling engineer, quit over there, and they needed some help. And I'm like, yeah. I was on a plane like a week and a half later, on my way to China, and I ended up getting over there, and we were drilling. We ended up drilling 6 wells offshore Hong Kong, like in the South China Sea. It's kind of shallow water on a jacket rig. But we went over there and they needed help, right? And it was to be a 3-week on, 3-week off gig. And I went over there, and my first 3 weeks turned into 7 weeks. And my wife was it's like, this ain't going to work, right? And so I called Joe up, and I'm like, we're going to have to change something here. I go, my kids are young. I have one kid in kindergarten. There's an international school across the street from my office in China. How about I'll just stay over here and I'll bring the family over. And he's like, get it done, right?
It's probably a lot easier for them.
Yeah, it was.
And your family.
And the family. So we moved. We flew them into Hong Kong. And we were over there. I was over there for a year. The family was over there for 6 months. And this was in 2014. And then that's when oil went down.
Right.
That first big downturn. And the Chinese government shut us down. So we had several more wells to drill, but they shut us down. And then by that time, they said, well, if we're not drilling wells, Sean, we don't need you here. Send you back to Denver. Well, the Denver office closed. And then I ended up in Tulsa for a year, and then later on in the Woodlands.
So that's how you're a tea guy.
So that's how I'm a tea guy. You go out to the rig. I mean, I'd fly out in this helicopter.
What in tarnation was that? What in tarnation? You know what? I think we started talking about China, and they weren't feeling that. They cut us. Let's see.
Man.
You think we were talking about China, and China hacked in and shut us down?
I'm a believer in it.
Never know. I don't know if we're getting the feedback.
Yes, you're so right.
Oh, that was weird. Hold on. Okay. All right, so for those that are tuning back in with us, we just realized that we just got hacked by the government of China because we started talking about them, and next thing you know, the feed gets cut.
Boom, done.
Cut.
We better stop.
So I think that's funny. The whole
that's how I got into tea.
The whole relocation of the oil field was like, oh, it's going to be 3 months. I'm going to Saudi for like a 3-month stint. That turned into like a year and a half. Just because it just gets drawn out.
Yep.
So just give me the real projected timeline.
Exactly.
Well, all right. So we got David Reed still tuning in. All right, and Janine Kotak, yes. I'm here. I dig that. Well, what else do you have? For everyone out there right now, you're looking. You seem positive.
No,
I dig that about you.
Yeah, I'm thankful.
That's one thing that I want to vouch for you about. Even my word means nothing, especially the Chinese government. Yep. But no, you always are very positive and personable, and it's like you're always one of the most respectful people out there, which I really dig about.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Man, I'm just thankful to be in this industry. I'm so glad I found this, right? I'm first generation oil field, and this is my home, man. I can't imagine me doing anything different.
Right.
I love the people. I love the work. I like how people are kind of poo-pooing us on the news.
You like that?
Well, it gives me motivation to get out there and try to educate people otherwise, right? Because it's misinformation, right? Really, and everybody uses petroleum
products.
Yeah,
like, everyone knows that.
I mean, it's inevitable, but they don't realize it, right? So I like getting out there and try, whether they want to listen or not. I like trying to educate people and try to get rid of some of that misinformation.
I actually think so. Actually, speaking of David Reed, I went to a SBE Gulf Coast discussion. You know what I mean? Last week, and it was kind of like this going on in the industry. And I'm actually kind of, I know we're getting poo-pooed on in our industry, and that's an adult term, poo-poo.
Yeah.
I know we're getting poo-pooed on our industry, but I'm kind of excited because I think right now, and I really wish people would hear this, right now is our chance to tell our story.
Yeah, absolutely.
In not a combative way, us versus them, that's the world's turned into.
Right.
Whether you're Republican, Democrat, this, that, Chick-fil-A, or Popeye's chicken sandwich, whatever it is.
Right. Yep.
It's not this. We're all energy.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I think Dave Reed had a great point with that. We're all at the table.
Yep.
You know what I mean? This whole us versus them, fossil fuels versus renewables. I think that's bogus. That's not everyone I've spoken to in the industry is not against renewables.
It takes both, right?
It takes both. It takes everything. It's the misinformation about it that's kind of frustrating people. So I think we are at a perfect time right now, not just to tell our story as an industry, who we are as a company, what we do and tell it through stories, not facts.
Right.
But also that will help. I mean, bring in a new generation. Because right now a lot of professors were discussing that the oil and gas industry is not really attractive right now to the younger generation unless you grew up around it. So
exactly. Yep.
We need to think about constantly, reach out and kind of tell our story in unique, different, innovative ways.
Yep.
I've had a great time that either we have to do that or we continue to be defensive, with the narrative that's written for us.
Right. Yeah, you're right. This is our opportunity for sure because it's in the front page of the news almost every day after COVID.
Well, I don't know.
Maybe before COVID. Yeah.
I think now. I think what's going. I think people are fatigued. I'm sure it's about vaccines or something right now. So, all right. So everyone tuning in right now, if you just want to kind of chime in, if you got any industry gossip or anything you kind of want to bring up with Sean or myself. Chime in, say hello, and all that stuff. We're going to be opening it up right now to the audience. All right, all right. So David says, "Glad you're both pro poo poo." I'm quoting you on that. You can quote me on that. I've been, that's the quote. That's my legacy quote on pro poo poo.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. I'll take that. I'm good with that. All right, David Gibson. Good morning, David. David Gibson. Good seeing you, buddy. Love that guy. All right, what else? Any good industry gossip or any good anything that y'all are excited for or grateful for kind of being in our industry right now? Me personally, I'm excited the fact that it is a new feeling in our industry right now. It does seem like there's people are kind of getting out about, people are kind of celebrating again, people are kind of banding together as a family versus during the downturn people were kind of isolated.
Right.
Under a rock. So I'm excited about all the events coming up.
Yeah. We are due. Our industry is due for a good spot, right?
She's due for a good time.
Yep, we're due for a good time. It's been down long enough.
It's been a little bit. So Anyone, anything else? Because if not, I guess we're going to shut it down and he's going to finish that tea.
Yep.
But I want to thank everyone for tuning in to Breakfast Runs with me, JP Warren, and then we got Sean Stevens here, one of the best guys that I'm kind of digging the whole fact that Silverado goes. I get this. This is like the 5th time we've seen each other in like 3 weeks. I'm actually happy about that.
I know, man.
That sounds horrible, but whatever. We give each other enough poo-poo.
It's date night tonight. Yeah.
It is date night tonight. Yeah. I know. We got that sweater weather coming in. So David Gibson's coming in for the AADE F5 next week.
Booyah.
I love it.
Hell yeah.
I love how we're getting all these people coming in for this for the AADE F5 event.
It's the event.
Did you eat there?
Absolutely. I overeat there.
I am historically bad at eating there.
I overeat
even though it's some of the best food out there.
Because you get to talking too much, or what?
I'm a BS.
Yeah,
I do a lot of BS.
Next thing you know, it's the end of the night and they're out of food.
Oh, okay. Ooh, David. I love how whenever David tunes in, he contributes. I love this cat. All right. David Gibson says, "What are y'all's thoughts on pricing return for OFS?" You talking about like increasing the prices, kind of where they were before? I believe that's probably what he's talking about. Yep. So why don't you give me your thoughts on that? And
I think it's slowly. You're seeing it come up, right? It's inflation. It's I think the raw materials or whatever that the service companies need to provide their service to operators. I think the number we were rolling was like 10-15%, and you might call that inflation. I'm not sure if that jumps the service company's margin, but I think it's about time if they haven't done so already. I think service companies are increasing their price, and also, we talked about a little bit about the Wall Street behavior and maintaining discipline there on the operator side. I think you're also seeing that on the service side where people aren't going out to buy additional equipment and just flood the market with equipment. They're just keeping their top equipment busy, right?
It's controlled expansion.
It's controlled expansion. It's like, hey, we have 100% of our equipment out there working, right? And that's going to allow these service companies to increase costs. I have no doubt that cost is going to start creeping up. Now, the operators will always try to beat that down, right? They don't want to have that cost increase discussion, but it's inevitable, right? Especially with $80 oil.
But that's the thing too. I personally, I think that coming from the service side, I feel like oil field service side is always like come down, cut your costs, low bid, which makes it whenever price is kind of the determining factor. I mean, and I've said this before. I mean, you wouldn't buy the cheapest car for your family. You wouldn't buy the cheapest car seat. You wouldn't buy the cheapest. Diapers, for your kids. So why would you suddenly translate that to a $15 million well and go cheapest bid?
Exactly.
But on the other side of that, I think whenever you are discussing, price increases and kind of where you need to be at, I don't look whether the relationship with operators and vendors, constantly doing this. If you have that relationship and you can actually kind of have that crucial conversation versus, hey, we need to increase prices this much,
right?
Or be worried that you're going to lose the job. Right. No, it needs to be a business partner decision.
Absolutely,
conversation.
Absolutely, yeah. And on that same thought, right? I'd much rather be working with a person that I have a great relationship with. Like if I get a call in the middle of the night, I don't want to call someone up that I don't know in the middle of the night and say, hey, I need this, and hope that they're doing something about it. I want to call up somebody I have a relationship with that I know they're going to be doing something about it. I know they're going to make it right? They're going to do everything in their power to get done what they need to get done. So that's a relationship. This is a relationship business.
It really is.
We've said it numerous times today, but that's what this industry is all about, and that's why I love it.
I dig that, man. I dig that. So I personally,
good question.
Great question. Yeah. I personally think that, I think I don't think operators are against price increases. Because it's not like they're this, sitting behind this big old desk. If you engage with the conversation, explain what's going on, there's going to be some work room. That's the whole point of it.
Absolutely. Yep.
I have to be cautious eating at F5. I'm allergic to shellfish. That's actually why lobster are the most hated creature in the ocean, because they never share. They're so shellfish.
There's going to be a lot of crawfish stuff there. So
there's always crawfish.
I love it.
All right, James, your old boy. Who's a hotter free agent in Houston right now? Sean Stevens or Carlos Carrera? Sorry if that's too soon for the Stros fans. I'm going to go with this guy.
Yeah.
Mainly just because I know him. And That's it. Just because proximity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, all right, let's see. We got David saying IADC AGM in Dallas this week. Looking forward to going up today. Well, good deal, Dave. You travel safe on that, and tell everyone we said hello up there. So, all right, I think that's it. Unless anyone has anyone else, Sean, I want to thank you, and obviously everyone out there. If you all want to reach out to Sean Stevens, he's look him up on LinkedIn. Just introduce yourself, say hello,
sure.
See if we can grab a cup of coffee or something like that. Just say hi. And I want to thank you for your support for Connection Crew Club. I mean, the fact that it's beneficial for everyone. The fact that you're actually being active and heading to the events, I do appreciate that.
Hey, I want to thank you for including me, and I appreciate the opportunity, man. I like what you got going here, and I think it's a great idea what you got brewing.
Well, I dig it, man. It helps everyone out. So also. Another thing is too. Also, if those out there, check out Energy Crew podcast. I know I dropped that. A lot of great people, ranging from NASA mission control people all the way to CEOs of startups to sales cats to wherever. It goes everywhere. So that's what I kind of dig. And then growth ahead operators have to. All right, growth ahead operators have had to keep cash for the market. But the switch is coming, not as fast as I think. But we're starting soon. Couldn't agree more. I think those conversations will start happening, which I think is.
And I think the key, going back to the whole Wall Street, is everybody's getting ready to talk about their 2022 budget. Well, they're going to make that bigger right now, right? And that's going to allow the rig count and people to increase activity level. But once they announce that budget, they gotta adhere to that budget. That's the Wall Street thing, right? So that's a great point right there. Where in 2022, I have high hopes, right? People are going to expand, and I think that rig count's going to increase.
So just like any other Q4 in the oil field, it's now's the time to, in reality, I'm not being this way, but people probably disagree with me. It's like, you always got to get work. But now's probably not the time to get work. Now's probably the time to start building relationships when there's not a lot of activity. That way, when activity does increase, that conversation is not that awkward, sales pitchy conversation. You know what I mean? So
enjoy the holidays coming up.
I always use Q4 as a way to build relationships and kind of, because no one's really making calls right now.
Exactly.
So now it's time to kind of build your relationship. So I dig that. So Sean, I want to thank you for coming on. I want to thank everyone out there for tuning in. Again, I want to thank Royal Completion Tools for sponsoring the show. And I hope the audio is there. Mom, I hope you can hear me great. And then
and we won't bring China up anymore, so it won't shut us down.
Yeah, sorry about that earlier, kinda. So, all right, man, I appreciate it. Good luck to you, and I'll see you later. And I'll see everyone else. I think the next breakfast run we're having is with Colin Cohn. You know Colin?
No.
Cohn over at Tri-C Resources. His uncle delivered my daughter.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I know.
Small world, man.
So so the OBGYN world, small world, and so is the oil field. That's small world too. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in. If there's any sponsorship inquiries, reach out to me, shoot me a DM. Great story about Sean throwing up an F-16 on the Energy Crew podcast. So you want to hear a story about this guy getting sick to his tummy wummy?
Well, it was like 6 times I threw up.
Okay, he threw up 6 times in F-16.
But we did pull 9.3 G's, so
you can't.
Maybe an excuse.
I don't feel like you can justify it. All right, so Sean Stevens, the guy with excuses. All right, so everyone, thanks for tuning in. And,
thank you guys.
Thanks, Brendan, for checking out the Energy Crew podcast. Any sponsorship inquiries, reach out to me. Reach out to Sean, introduce yourself, and everyone stay safe. And I guess we'll see y'all, is it next week at F5?
Yes.
We'll see everyone next week at F5, next Thursday. And dress warm, dress appropriate, and we'll talk to y'all soon. I wish I had like outro music.